On a remote bluff line, high above a river bend, stands a distinct Ozark geologic feature, this spectacular natural arch. This setting is on private land, but we are graciously given permission by the landowner and land manager to visit, film here, and share it with our viewers. The site's scenic value speaks for itself, but there's so much more to explore, from the bedrock patterns that shape the site to some interesting biological ties to the geologic setting. So come along as we take you to this special private setting here on Ozark Outsider. Just 2 quick notes. First, if you recognize this location, do not share its name or any other information. This site has experienced vandalism before, and the landowner wishes to protect it as a condition of sharing it with our viewers. Second, this video is our original content, representing travel, research, and filming, as well as support from local folks who invited and guided us to the site. Please respect our role as creators and their generosity by not reproducing any content without our permission. The Ozarks have a variety of natural arches and bridges, such as this well-known example at Missouri's Clifty Creek Conservation Area. But the site we're talking about is notable for the way it protrudes directly out from a tall bluff, as an isolated ridge penetrated by the large opening below. From our on-site observations, there's a key factor shaping this feature: the presence of 2 overlapping joint sets in the bedrock. Joints are sets of fractures in bedrock that are usually parallel and vertical. These create planes of weakness along which erosion can act. In the Ozarks, joint sets can shape everything from cave morphology to stream patterns. This is particularly true in carbonate rock, like limestone and dolomite, which dissolve relatively easily and so are prone to erosion along joint sets that allow water to penetrate the rock. Here, the bedrock is Ordovician dolomite. At the top of the arch, you can clearly see 2 sets of joints at nearly right angles to one another. One set runs nearly parallel to the bluff face and likely helps define its presence. The other runs nearly perpendicular to the bluff and helps define both sides of the arch's protruding ridge. And the joints don't just occur right at the arch. Here, we're looking along the bluff at a smaller bedrock protrusion, where one set of joints is running parallel to our view and creating new gaps that are already being widened by erosion, and the other set is running across our view and helping define the bedrock protrusion itself. And here, we're looking into the bluff face, where a perpendicular joint is encouraging erosion back into the rock face. Small cavities that form along these joints can become larger arches or bridges if the surrounding rock is stable enough, as it clearly was over at the main feature. Another interesting factor at this site is the potential role of groundwater patterns in shaping the natural arch. Along much of the bluff, there's a notable difference in bedrock texture, with a relatively erosion-resistant layer higher up and an apparently softer layer below, forming a consistent undercut effect. It appeared that groundwater tended to emerge from that lower layer, as suggested by far more abundant mosses, plants, and even tufa-like mineral deposits on the rock face here. The placement of the arch within the bluff line seemed to match this pattern, as the top of the opening roughly lined up with the top of the groundwater hosting layer. It's pretty reasonable to suggest that the gap that became the arch started in a soluble bedrock layer prone to carrying groundwater. Another notable feature occurred back at the top of the arch, which was actually capped by a layer of sandstone. It's been proposed that Ozark sandstone layers play a role in shaping karst features like caves or springs, as we discussed in a previous video on Missouri's Hahatonka State Park. In addition, sandstone is often especially erosion resistant, at least when compared to carbonate rocks, and can help support natural bridges like this one at Hahatonka. So it's not too surprising to find a sandstone layer capping this arch. One minor but neat feature in this sandstone layer was the presence of well-preserved mud cracks. These reflect the original depositional environment, hundreds of millions of years ago, when this sand was deposited in a shallow water environment that dried up long enough for the surface to form cracks, just like a modern mudflat. When new sand was washed over these cracks, it filled them in and preserved their shape until more recent erosion re-exposed them. We were guided to this site by David, JC, and Ryan, who have deep roots in this part of the Ozarks. They even shared with us these wonderful photos of an ancestor's high school graduating class gathered at the arch in the early 1900s. It's a great reminder that natural settings are often intertwined with human stories. Thanks again to our guides for sharing this day with us, and to the landowner and land manager for allowing us to share this fantastic site with you. As long as we're giving thanks, we appreciate all those who are in a position to support us financially, as videos like this require time, travel, and research put together. You can leave us a tip online via Ko-fi, or you can simply like, share, and comment, which tells YouTube that real human channels like this still matter in a world increasingly saturated by artificial content.